body, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the aortic arch, or the arch of the aorta, and then as it starts to come down, that is the descending aorta.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Coming off of the arch of the aorta, we're going to have these two blood vessels right here. You get a big fat one, and you get a little skinny one. Let's do the big fat one first. This one right here is the brachiocephalic artery, because you're going to get these branches that either go to the head or the arm. Brachio for arm, cephalic for head. Okay? These two are the ones that are going to go to the head. This one up here and this one up here. These are the right and left common carotid arteries. You have to put artery or vein in all of your answers, and you have to put right or left if it's appropriate. Okay? Alright, so there's left, there's right common carotid. The other branch that's coming off of this brachiocephalic artery is the subclavian, and it extends from where it joins right there to this split right here. Subclavian because it goes under the clavicle. Okay. The equivalent to it on the left side, that was the right, is that other branch that comes off of the aorta. This is the left subclavian.
We'll have to do left and right also?
Yeah. Put left and right on everything you possibly can. Obviously, if we ask you to ID the stomach, there's no left and right stomach, so that wouldn't make any sense. But if there's a left and a right, put left and right. So here's the left subclavian. Okay? And again, it extends from this side. I wish I could get this thing out of the way, but it extends from the brachiocephalic artery all the way to where it starts to split right there. Let me know if you can't see anything, okay? Off of the subclavian, this one's broken.
Mammary.
That is the internal mammary right there. In fact, on this side, it's still intact. Okay? And that makes sense, right? The mammary gland. When we get to the end of the subclavian right there should only be one going up here, but for some reason this cat has three. Blood vessels are highly varied across individuals. Okay? So I'm just going to pick one of these. I'll pick the middle one, and we're going to pretend that that's the only one there. This one sort of is very short, or it appears short, because it goes right away deep to the cervical vertebrae.
Vertebral.
Right, and it's going to travel up that vertebral column. So this is the vertebral right here. Okay, very short, but head's sort of north.
Is that supplying blood to muscles in the back, or just
it goes
everything?
up to the head.
To the head?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It isn't the main vessel that serves the head, but it's one of them.
Okay.
This right here is heading out towards the armpit, so we're going to call that the axillary. And you can even see it in the sort of armpit area there. Any pink in there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then if you see it extending, this isn't fully dissected, but if you saw anything on the arm, that would be then the brachial artery. Okay? So that's the top half. You just have to follow those road maps. Okay? Those diagrams that are on. So let's go back to that descending aorta. We're going to work our way down through the diaphragm. Here's our diaphragm right here. And you can even see, here's the blood vessel. I'm going to follow it with the probe all the way down. And right after the diaphragm, you can see there are these two that come off of it that almost run somewhat parallel to each other, right? First one, right after the diaphragm, is called the celiac trunk. Just like a tree trunk, it's going to have branches coming off of it. And it should have three that you should be able to identify. The first one is kind of buried in there. You won't be able to see where it's going to, but based on its location from the celiac trunk, you should be able to ID that this first one is going to be the hepatic artery. The second one should be the gastric artery. Here's our stomach. Gastric artery. And this last one, in fact, if I pull on it, my broken spleen, you can see it moving there. That is the splenic artery. Okay? So you just have to know those by the order that you see them coming off. Okay? Going back to our dorsal aorta, you come down. That next one that sort of runs parallel, this one is called the superior mesenteric. Do you guys remember what mesentery is?
The tissue hanging out the stomach.
It's all this stuff, right? All that clear stuff. So the superior mesenteric is the branch that gives rise to all of the intestinal arteries. So these are the intestinal ones, all embedded within the mesentery. So that's the superior mesenteric. And if there's a superior one, guess what?
It's an inferior one.
There's an inferior one. Here's our large intestine, right? The superior mesenteric branches off and starts to serve the rest of the small intestines down in there. But a branch would also loops around underneath all this yellow stuff and comes back to the dorsal aorta, making almost like a complete loop there. This is that inferior mesenteric. Okay? Is everybody good with that? Okay. So let's go back up here and continue our trip down the dorsal aorta or descending aorta. Our next stop is the blood vessels that serve the kidneys. Those should be the renal. And sometimes they're hard to find because they're buried underneath the veins. So if you want to find them, sometimes you have to flip them over and find them that way. Okay? Coming off of the renal, it's a little bit different than your diagram. But coming off of the renal is this one that's broken on mine. Sorry. Here we go. This one, it's broken on mine, but you can see where it would have attached right there. It looks like it's going down, down, down through an inguinal canal, down to the spermatocord. What should we call that one?
Spermatic or ovarian.
The spermatic or testiculars, both of those are acceptable, or the ovarian. And the ovaries were right in this area right here, so they would kind of take a different direction a little bit. Okay? Going back to our dorsal descending aorta, what's our next stop? Well, it's the one we've already visited. It's that inferior mesenteric, right? Just south of those are these ones that come off the sides and look like, let's see if we can figure out where they're going. It looks like they're going nowhere, doesn't it? They're just like, meh, done. Those are going to go deep. So they go back around your hip bone towards the lumbar vertebrae. So they go around the ilium of your os cocci. So we're going to call those the iliolumbar. Just imagine they're going around towards the lumbar, okay? Iliolumbar. Going to continue on down, and then you guys see this sort of double Y split or double V, right? Those are the iliac arteries. You're going to have external and internal iliac arteries. So, if I asked you to identify this, you would say that is the left external iliac artery. You'd have to have all of that for full credit, okay? In between, and here's the internal one, right? In between, can you guys see that little one? You might have to really look in there. That one's going straight down. That is the caudal artery. Okay? So let's start on some veins up here at the top.